It's 69 degrees. We were talking about Mary Miller out in Portland, Oregon a while ago. We're back on the East Coast, right up the road in Charleston. Political consultant, commentator for Young Voices, Albert Eisenberg on the line here with us this morning, as President Biden has nominated Bridget Brink as the U.S. ambassador to the Ukraine. Albert, I'm not thinking this is one of those plum assignments right now.
No, and it's interesting. You probably know as well as I do that these ambassadorships are often doled out as a reward to major campaign donors who actually have no foreign policy experience. And this is totally different from what's been reported. We have somebody who was an ambassador, current ambassador to Slovakia, nominated by President Trump. So we have bipartisan credentials, which is rare for the Biden White House or any White House. Mm-hmm. She's a State Department alum from the 1990s, understands not just Europe, but Eurasia and Central Asia, speaks a lot of languages. So seems like a competent hand to fill a very important position for our country.
Wow, Albert, we say that even a stop clock's right twice a day, so they've actually stumbled upon somebody competent for this administration. This is good news.
Yes, although you're going to have to find me the second person.
Well, you have to wait that other 12 hours, I guess, whatever it is. You're not kidding. But how is it when we say she's going to be ambassador to Ukraine? What kind of duties are we talking about besides going in there with a bulletproof vest and staying in a basement somewhere?
Well, it's kind of funny. And I'll say to your prior point, as far as the broken clock being right twice a day. Actually, if you look at Biden's administration's handling of major issues like the economy and the border and Afghanistan, Ukraine and his handling of it, though there are critiques to make, as there always are, has been a relative success. As far as the diplomatic post, it's a foreign policy post, so it's an extension of the U.S. State Department, America's footprint in the world, and non-military. So her job is to coordinate with other government affairs people in Ukraine and the bureaucrats, the oligarchs, the behind-the-scenes people, the Zelensky administration, to make sure that America's interests are being promoted and held. And it's really a role of listening, reporting back to Washington, and coordinating.
Albert Eisenberg, he is a political consultant, commentator for Young Voices. We're heavily into shameless self-promotion, Albert. What is Young Voices?
Young Voices is actually a really, really interesting and innovative nonprofit organization that supports young libertarians and conservatives. I'm in that latter group, by the way, in America, who want to kind of commentate and gain a greater market share with their ideas. They invest in young talent and basically act as sort of a PR agency. So if any listeners have nephews, nieces, or they themselves are between 20 and 30 and kind of want a broader reach, want to start writing, want to start learning about media, they should go to youngvoices.org. So they'll thank me for promoting them. All
right, by all means, and we'll check it out ourselves. And I think one of the things, Albert, that I'm interested in is, and I think that helps, is the fact that, as you were saying, she speaks Russian and Serbian, and that can't do anything but help.
Yes, people in that part of the world. My grandma was born in what was then Yugoslavia to a Hungarian family that became Serbia, and she often said she became many different nationalities in her lifetime. So for Americans, it's hard to understand, but it really is, especially when you get into sort of Eurasia and Southeast Europe. It's total melting pot with ethnicities that have been mixed up for hundreds of years. And, this is what Vladimir Putin has said from the beginning, is that there are ethnic Russians in Ukraine that want to be liberated, which has not been the case, and they've actually turned on him quite a bit. But having that sort of depth of language ability is not uncommon for people who are from that part of the world and people who are experts in that part of the world.
Albert, I know this hits you in the heart as much as anything, is that there was Neil Cavuto the other day on Fox was quoting this lady who was dying in, I think, in one of those tunnels there in Mariupol. She was a 91-year-old Holocaust survivor, and she lives to die like this. And how ironic it is in this absolutely unnecessary war.
Yes, and thank you for bringing that up. I am proud to share that 3 of my grandparents were actually survivors of Auschwitz from Poland and Hungary.
Wow.
So the Holocaust lineage is strong, and Zelensky actually has a claim to it as well as a Jewish descendant, although on the other side of the Iron Curtain in places like Poland and Russia, the surviving Jewish people really there wasn't the reconciliation that Germany and Western Europe had. So there's actually a really interesting, some writing about how they understand the Holocaust differently. And there's a great article called Holocaust by Bullets, if anybody wants to read it, because once the Nazis came that far east, they really just used ammunition. They weren't sending people to death camps. So it was an entirely different thing than we imagine in the Western consciousness. So yes, pointless bloodshed, but that's sort of the history of the world. Not to shrug it off, but that's something that, a lot of people who aren't Americans sort of innately understand, including in that part of the world. And it's sad to see so quickly on video stream, which is what makes this war unique.
It really is. Have any relatives here in Savannah, Albert?
Nobody in Savannah, a little scattered across the U.S. and some in Israel.
Well,
I'd love to come down and be with you in person.
I wish you would too. My child dentist was an Eisenberg, and just a wonderful. I thought maybe it's a small world, but and I get
we're probably cousins, Bill.
Well, we could be. But we get to Charleston quite often. It's my second hometown, and I love it. Bill Sharp and I were good friends who just retired from WCSC. Albert, I appreciate it, and we're going to stay in touch, and we'll check out Young Voices.
Great. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
All right. Albert Eisenberg, well, thank you for tolerating that little stroll down memory lane, but still, what great organization Young Voices sounds like, and we'll put that on our website as well. Political consultant Albert Eisenberg about President Biden stumbling up and nominating somebody competent for a change, Bridget Brink, to be the U.S. ambassador to Ukraine. 7:54.